Welcome to season 4, episode number 2.
Episode number 2. And something that is kind of typical that people would make would be pork chops, right?
People stray away from pork chops, actually.
Oh, they do?
Yes, they do.
It's
the other white meat. It's not only that it's the other white meat, it's because they're typically dry, right?
That is, and maybe not as tender.
Yeah, so you have to douse it with applesauce. Maybe your parents' thing. My parents definitely didn't.
Yeah, my parents did apple.
Yeah,
probably. So tonight we're gonna take it to another level.
We are definitely gonna take it to another level. We're gonna do a maple bourbon pork chop.
Wonderful.
With a Jamaican sweet potato steak.
Ooh, that's
so another spin on roasted yams.
Wonderful. I am really excited.
Really good for you guys. Really good for you. Super healthy, right?
Super high nutrients, absolutely. And the bourbon depends on what doctor you're going to see.
They say 1 drink a day keeps the doctor away.
Right, that's what I said. Depends on what doctor you're seeing.
I like it. Well, we're super excited. Thank you all for joining tonight. We are excited to get cooking. So let's get cooking.
Let's get cooking. First and foremost, everyone, if you haven't joined us, first thing we want to do is get our mise en place together. Mise en place means
get everything in order.
Everything in its place. That's right. So first and foremost, we have our oven on at 425. We're going to be doing some high roasting. We have a cast iron skillet to sear our pork chops in. We have a saute pan to get our sauce going. We have a nice lined baking sheet here for our sweet potato steaks.
And if I don't have a cast iron, what do I use?
Just a regular skillet will work. Anything like this, you're gonna need something that's just a normal fry pan will work. Even if it doesn't have high walls on it, you'll be okay. All we're needing to do is something that we can sear and put into the oven. If you don't have anything, because your handles cannot go in the oven, we can sear and onto a cookie sheet or in a cake pan.
Oh, okay, good idea.
Will work just fine, and the reason being is we're gonna need a little bit of lip here so that way we're putting chicken broth into our pork chops when we throw them in the oven.
So no juices can get into your oven and make a mess.
No messes. It's key to cooking, right?
It's key.
Cleaning as we go.
Perfect.
So our other mise en place here, we have our ingredients for our maple bourbon glaze. We have our sweet potato steaks. What I have here is our brown sugar mixture. What this is our brown sugar and our plethora of dry spices that we put into here for our steak.
Okay.
So we got some cinnamon, some allspice, some clove, some cayenne pepper, brown sugar.
Okay.
And so this is like a nice Jamaican jerk seasoning.
Wonderful.
Some thyme in there. So that's all that.
And how did you slice up your yams?
So the yams, what we're gonna do is I got them in like 1-inch thick slices, so steak. So it's gonna be completely different. You can cube them if you'd like. This one is gonna be, like we said, what's our plate gonna look like? How's our presentation? How do we want to present this to our guests? The reason I want to show you this is it's something that's different, something that's a little not normal that we would typically do. So what we do is we have our yam like this. We just take one end off here and another end off here, and then we're going to cut them down into 1-inch steaks. in our bowl. Not overcrowd that. If you have a thinner one like this, you can go straight down across if you'd like. Or if we create a angle cut,
Right, then they
we
remain
can
the same
then
size.
have a steak that is relatively the same size. And as we're cooking, we want them to keep them in this same size preference so that that way the cook time is relative, right? So we don't want too much, too thick. And they're all pretty much the same. So some are gonna cook a little bit less than others, but at the end of the day, they're all gonna be fine, not gonna be
Right.
super mushy. So what we're gonna want to do is we're going to, in our large bowl here, we'll do this in 2 batches. We need some oil. We're gonna drizzle this with a little olive oil. Some melted butter. And just go half and half since we're gonna do 2 batches here. Some of our blend here. Not super crazy, but enough because we are gonna use it again times 2. So we're gonna put them on our sheet pan. We're gonna season them and then we're going to flip them and season them again. So we're really creating almost a crust on the outside of these guys.
I love the brown sugar with the yams, love that. That flavor together is so good.
Oh, it's just, these are the candy of vegetables,
Mhm.
right? So you just throw these guys in whole and let them roast on the grill and let them just do their thing.
These are my son's favorite. Growing up, you don't have to throw them in the oven.
Yeah, it's super easy, right?
Mhm. And they're just really good for you.
Absolutely. So we'll get our second batch going. Same thing, a little bit of butter. Little olive oil. Little seasoned blend.
While you're doing that, I was just thinking, you know, it'd be fun to do is do something that like the 20-year-old crowd would love to make. And we can teach them how to make it in their kitchen. That would be a lot of fun. So any of you at home that have 20, 30-year-old children that want to learn too, that would be a lot of fun. To give them some good ideas of things that they can make easily.
Yeah, or your friends that have kids that you're tired of cooking for them or they're tired of eating out all the time, right?
Exactly.
So cooking is relatively pretty simple. Like I say, if you can read a book, you can read a recipe. What we try to do here is teach the techniques, right? So proper techniques allow you to build great success. So once we have them all laid out like this, kind of spaced out, we're just gonna sprinkle over. Just trying to get some on everything. We want to save about half of what we got. So once we do the flip, we can go ahead and do the same thing again. All right. So we'll set that aside. These guys, I'm gonna go into the oven.
Right, because those are a little thicker,
25.
so they take a bit.
Now they'll take about 25, maybe roughly 30 minutes, maybe a little bit less. We'll check them and we'll see. So we got a timer going. So let's check those here. We're good.
You want me to put it on?
Oh, no, I got it right here. Timer's always working.
In your brain.
In
I'm the type that always has to put the timer on.
That's all right. It's all pretty simple. So next we're gonna get our sauce going, our glaze. On high heat, we're going to add a little bit of canola oil. And we're gonna saute our garlic real quick, real fast.
Like canola oil?
Just so we don't overpower our sauce with the olive oil. This is a
Okay.
very neutral flavor. If we added olive oil in here, it would take away from the other
garlic.
goodness that we're adding in there. The bourbon, the brown sugar, the mustard, all those things. So we want to make sure that we're not overpowering, right?
Got it.
And with our garlic, we're just wanting to a quick saute. We're just wanting to release the oils of that garlic so we really capture that flavor in our sauce there. All right, see, it's working nicely. the aroma already.
Mhm.
Beautiful thing about cooking is garlic,
The other
right?
thing about garlic. That's
Sure.
the aroma. Hey, chef?
Yes.
Can you use avocado oil instead of canola?
So yes, you can. That is a relatively neutral oil. It does have more of a fragrance like olive oil, but it is not as pungent as olive oil. So you can use avocado. It's what I use at home on pretty much everything, unless I'm going to do some frying. Then I use some canola oil or other shortening. Just depends on what we're trying to do. So as you see, you got a nice quick saute. Some of the little bits are turning brown, which is kind of what we're looking for. We're not wanting to really caramelize it because that's not the flavor profile. We're going to add our bourbon. If you want to get crazy, you can flambe.
Always gets curious, like, and our team back there always laughs. So I get scared.
So all we did there is this just quickly burns off the alcohol.
No, but it's like a lot to me. No, don't. Okay, I like that technique to stop the flame when the flames get a little crazy.
So we've added our brown sugar. Little dry mustard.
Right.
We are keeping this on high heat, right? Because we're wanting to reduce this. As soon as we get all of our ingredients in, we will bring it down to a simmer. 3 tablespoons of some maple syrup here.
That's delicious.
2, 3 tablespoon of Worcestershire.
What does that do? That sort of just cuts. The
It adds a little tangy, kind of what we're gonna add here, and salt, right? So not adding salt, but by adding that flavor, that is sodium. So a little bit of vinegar. This is gonna be a small amount. Put a little tiny pepper in there. So now that we are at that rolling boil like that, we're gonna want to reduce our heat and bring it down some, so it comes to a simmer. And all we're doing is evaporating the liquid, fortifying the sugar, so that way it becomes a glaze. So we can just let it do its thing. Just like such. So like if you wanted to, if you're feeding more than what our recipe calls for, chicken stock, right? So you can add some of this into there to create more volume and reduce down. If you're creating more volume and don't have hours to reduce it down until it is that syrupy texture, you can tighten it up with a little cornstarch.
Okay.
So we are making the same type of glaze. If we added cornstarch or a slurry, which would be cornstarch and water mixture, if we add that slurry to our sauce, we want to cook that cornstarch out. So you definitely want to simmer that for about 10 minutes or so, just so then that way the cornstarch flavor cooks out and all the other flavors are then back to the palate. If you were to thicken it and cut it off the heat, you will not get all the flavor profile that we've already created.
Got it.
So since we do feed some, we're gonna add some chicken stock. Not much, I'm at about 1/4 of a cup here. Another piece to this too is when we add our chicken stock to our pork chop can, we can take that and add that into that sauce because all that love that we've created right here, we want to incorporate that into our glaze. Right? All it is gonna make your dish more flavorful.
But the chicken stock isn't gonna water it down.
Yeah, but we're gonna let it reduce. So we got plenty of time, so it's just gonna, like I said, it's gonna evaporate the moisture, fortify the sugars, which is gonna create that glaze type flavor.
Perfect.
So let that do its thing.
That's on low heat.
That's on low heat. So then we can, once we got that in, our sweet potatoes are in the oven, those are doing their thing. Let's move right along to our cocktail.
Let's do
Since
it.
that's everyone's favorite, it seems to be.
Sure, we have some people that may have started already.
Most of the time, that's how it works. All right, so we have some bourbon. We have some bitters. We have a muddle. I have some chilled.
Chilled, okay.
Yep. Something that's cold. Already ready to go. Some orange. So what we're gonna need is we're gonna need a highball glass like this. We're gonna need some orange juice. And we're gonna need an orange slice. So since we'll do this. One.
No shaker on this one.
No, this one is just a stir, not shaken.
Sounds to me like strong is in that word. That's a stir.
If there's bourbon in it, most of the time it's gonna be strong. And we're gonna need a little bit of lemon juice. Want to press our citrus like this so we can release the juices from the segments, the tissue. This one's just gonna be a little. Pull that seed out of there for you. Yeah, the bourbon.
I think I already have one open before that.
We're gonna do some little bitters, just 2, 3, 4. 4. Mother. Forward. You got one open already? All we're doing is just releasing those oils of the orange peel into our smash here. That's why they call it a smash. You're smashing it down.
I looked there and find it, and no one was there to find it.
Let's take a look at our glaze here. See, we're reducing nicely. We can check the viscosity, the thickness, the glaze type. Use your spoon. Go on the back. See how
Oh,
there's
yeah.
nothing sticks to it,
Nothing,
barely
yeah.
yet. So we're just gonna let it continue to reduce down and do its thing.
Got it.
This is our
Yep, I
guy.
think we're going with it.
What's our 1 ounce on this guy? 2 ounces of bourbon. You're gonna like this one, Clyde.
I could already tell.
Make sure you capture the facial.
Yeah. We could do a flash of all of my faces with the strong liquor.
So since we figured out that it is
A little
potent,
strong.
we'll go a little shy. So what we did was like a 1/2 ounce less.
Perfect.
Okay.
Less is more in my book.
Ice in these guys, actually. Stir it for
Who
the
is a bourbon drinker? Are you guys all bourbon drinkers at home? And what's the difference between a whiskey and a bourbon?
The way that it's prepared.
Okay, so which is, what's a flavor differential?
Typically bourbon is aged longer and in different barrels than your typical Tennessee whiskey.
Okay, good to know.
I think it's in a smoke barrel, not all of them, but most. So.
Yeah, I'm hoping there's a little seltzer that goes on top of that.
And then we top, of course.
I like that, that looks better. Jeff, can you use sparkling water?
You could use sparkling water. Just something that doesn't have flavor unless you want to add more flavor to take away from the bourbon. So by all means, you can add whatever you want to, really. The beauty about cooking and cocktails is for the most part, you can kind of do it the way that you want to.
All right. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Enjoy. Cheers. Okay. That tastes like bourbon. Very good though.
Not as strong as you would think, because we went lighter on it, but yes, it does taste like bourbon, so.
It's, I would say more refreshing than just drinking bourbon, right?
Yes, definitely, because that's the seltzer, so adding the fizziness definitely cuts out.
And the lemon and the orange.
Yes,
as well.
definitely,
Right.
definitely.
Very good.
no.
How do you guys like that at home? Did you try it? Tell us what you think. It's definitely gonna go really well with our dinner tonight.
So I got our pork chops. As we said, pork chops, right? People don't typically eat them, right? One of the things is people typically don't ever make a pork chop this thick. And when you cut pork chops or you get pork chops, this is what you. Was your mom making them like that?
Nope.
No, about half that size.
Yeah.
This is what you want. You want this. Why? This is flavorful. It's gonna retain its moisture, stay nice and juicy. As long as we don't kill it in the oven, it's gonna be okay.
Right, because overcooking gets you all the things you remember pork to be.
Yeah. So pork can be pink in the middle. And when I say pink, I mean pink. So not like a steak to be rare, but it can be pink. Yes. Unlike chicken, you don't want chicken to be pink,
That's very true.
but you do want it to be fully cooked. So that's that. I took a look at our glaze here. I turned our heat down because we were reducing too much, but it is, you can tell that it's almost to that glaze point. So we'll just let it slowly bubble like this, and then we'll cut it off when we're ready, and we'll be good to go. Wonderful. A little oil. So all I have on here is our paprika, salt and pepper. We want to make sure that we season these good, not super heavily, but enough. Most of our flavoring is going to come from here, right? All we're going to do is enhance the flavor of our pork with our glaze right there.
Right.
And that's typically what we're looking for.
And here we're gonna seal in the flavor by
Sear, yep, by a nice sear. So what we want is a nice hot pan, a little bit of fat. When I say hot, I mean really hot, because that's what we want.
I think one thing we've learned, all of us through these cooking classes, is searing the meat is gonna seal in the flavor, and that is consistent amongst a lot of our classes.
Everything, yeah, because this is a big piece to it. The one that we did, I want to say last season, where we did the chicken with the pan sauce,
Right,
really showed what the difference is. So when we seal in the moisture, the meat, what happens is when we cook it real quick and fast on the outside, we create an eye. And what happens is all the moisture from this protein or the muscle goes to the center. And then what you do is you roast it, right? Or we're going to sear, we're going to seal it. So that way, as it roasts, it's harder for that to escape the outside of the muscle here. So then when the other key is letting it rest, right? So we want to let it rest. When we pull it out, we want to let it sit out for a good 10, 15, 20 minutes. All depends on how big our cuts are and what we're doing. The reason is it allows the juices to flow back into the tissue to maintain a nice, tender, juicy piece of meat.
absolutely.
So you can see how hot this pan is here just by, we can do this, right?
Yep.
As it ripples. So you're looking for it to ripple. We're wanting to really capture that sear. When I say on high, we want that bad boy on hot.
And you can hear the sizzle, when it goes in, it's hot.
Yeah, and we're wanting to create a good caramelization on the outside. And also when we do this, we want to make sure we're not overcrowding our pan. If we overcrowd our pan, then it's not going to allow us to get the sear that we're looking for because of all the moisture.
Right. Is everybody keeping up tonight? Are you guys all in the same spot? Tried your drink, you have your yams in the oven, reducing down your sauce, starting to sear the pork chop.
So you see with that nice hot pan,
Right.
pretty quick, pretty fast. This guy's not quite ready yet. This guy's getting there.
What's great about tonight is to see and to watch us cook the thicker ones, because it is, people get a little nervous because it's so thick. And it is harder to do.
It's
So,
just timing,
timing,
right? Absolutely. This is a crucial piece to all of that,
right?
right? By the thickness of this, by the amount of sear. As you can see, when we're working here, you can see we still got some time here, but look how much it's already cooked
Right.
on that piece there, right? Still getting a good, nice caramelization on both sides here. Let's take a look at our blade. Grab a spoon there. See how it's coated in the back of the spoon pretty
yeah.
good? It's still running off. We want it to be thick. We want it to coat it evenly. So we still got a little bit of time, and we'll just let it do its thing. Take a check out these guys. So as I said, you can see how much we're cooking already.
Right.
Just by that, piece like that. While that's finishing on that other side, let's take a look at ours. You can see this here. These guys are looking pretty good. Still got a little more time. What time is it? So that's only 10 minutes so far. So we're giving them about another 3 or 4 minutes. And then, so by the time we're pretty much ready to put these in the oven, we can go ahead and.
Flip out.
Yep. Still maintaining that nice high heat, getting some good caramelization on our sear. That's what we're looking for. How's everyone doing out there? We got any questions? Good.
I love it. Send some pictures. Show us what you're doing, how it's looking so far. What I like about this dish is it's really going to be relative,
Super simple.
which is really nice, because sometimes we do make it a little more complicated. But this is something with not so many ingredients, just a few key components, and you can really get it done after work, ready for your family.
Yeah, you're talking, I mean, you're within 60 minutes, you're ready to go, and you have a real restaurant quality menu or dish for your family or your guests, depends on what you're looking for, right? So like we always talk about, it's how do we simplify it? How do we make it easy?
Exactly.
Right? It's not overcomplicating it.
Right.
How do we take some ingredients that we just have lying around to create these dishes that we're scared of? Because when you hear, oh, maple bourbon pork chop, you're like, oh, I don't know. I don't know
Seems
about
like a lot.
a sweet potato steak. I don't know about that, right? So with the Jamaican seasoning that we put on those yams, it's so complementary to the yam itself.
Right.
Plus with this pork, and then to top it off with a little bit of glaze so that it all comes together nicely.
Yeah, it's always, I think, complicated to figure out how to make it all work together. So that's what's fun about these classes, is to really
Time management.
yeah.
How do we do it? What's
all
working
together.
for us while we're working, right?
Right.
And that's really the keys components to all of it. Is how is it working together? We first started with the thing that's going to take the longest. That's going to do its thing while we're doing other things. This is the second thing that's going to take the longest. This will reduce down. We can reduce this as long as we want. So if we want to go all 60 minutes, we can. If you get there beforehand, high five, we already made it.
There you go.
Pull it off the heat, it's ready to go, right? So that's looking good. These guys are looking good. See what kind of steer we got on the other side, looking really good. Give those just another couple seconds there.
You can see the colorization is very similar on both fruits.
Yeah, high heat, right? The reason I like to use the cast iron pan is because it has a high gauge to it. It means we can get it very, very hot, which is going to allow us to do this piece right here. If you're cooking steaks out on the grill, I recommend the same thing. At first, sear them, get it really, really hot, sear them on each side, turn your temperature down, and cook them at a little slower pace. Not extremely slower, but just a little bit. And then let them rest. That's always the thing. Let your meat take a nap after it cooks.
5 minutes.
You're good to go. It's
Yeah.
huge. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So these guys look like they're ready to roll. So what we'll do is we're going to add our other porks back to the pan. Come in
Fit
here.
perfectly.
We're going to then add some different stock. So all we're doing is adding a little bit of moisture.
Okay.
Not going to be extreme. It won't start on fire. Don't worry.
Well, I was thinking flatter. Flatter, not that.
So what we've done also is we've deglazed the pan, right? We've
I see that.
stripped off all that caramelization that was in the bottom of the pan, and now we have put it into our stock, because at the end, we could add that into our glaze
Right.
and really brighten up, add to what we already got going. So let's pull these guys out. Get these guys in. And the thickness of those guys, they're gonna take roughly around 10 to 12 minutes. So just about the same time as finishing these guys. So what we'll do now, we'll just flip these guys over. You can smell all that.
I know, they smell amazing. Brown sugar.
The cinnamon, the allspice, the thyme.
Oh, those look very good. When you,
Top it off with
that's right.
the more seasoned blend here, finish them off in there.
Steve, why don't you come over for our market update?
I
We're
was,
gonna throw these in there.
I was just gonna say,
It's a good time.
let me put these in the oven.
And then we'll have it. hot.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Welcome to the market update.
Speaking of market update, did you know that we didn't really have a January?
I've been saying that for a month now.
What does that mean in the real estate world, Beth?
I keep saying that we were expecting our typical winter visitors to come in January 1 through the end of the month, and well, they didn't really come in at the paces that they normally do.
We had snow back east.
And they still didn't come in. Now, maybe a little bit of the interest rate, or you know what I found is even after the Phoenix Open, that's really when we really started getting our winter visitors in. The rain maybe deterred some of them because it was a little bit of a sloggy mess this year, but I feel like January just started for us with all of our typical winter visitors that normally come in are now here.
And so we're seeing a lot of accelerated sales, especially in our listings. We've sold almost all of our listings, which is great. But the buyers out there are being a little bit particular. So some of the things that we're advocating for our sellers is pre-inspection.
Pre-inspection.
Get the home prepared. It's so much easier, guys, when you have it inspected. get some bids,
You know what's coming up.
no one's pressuring you, and then it's fixed,
Mhm.
right? So at the end of the day, it just makes it so much easier to sell your home if you already know what's going on.
Right, and also you can repair it.
The way you want.
Or with the vendors you want, how you wanna do it, versus someone else telling you how to do it, exactly. But what we're also seeing is that people are requesting a lot of different inspections that we hadn't seen,
Mhm.
especially
Sewer,
sewer, a septic as well I'm dealing with tonight, but sewer is something that we really haven't seen in homes only 20 years old. And so what I've been seeing, I'd say the last 6 months, is some issues with the sewers. And even though it's not in some of our typical Old Town Scottsdale or Arcadia areas, which are older, we used to look at sewer inspections more like homes that were built in the 60s and 70s. But we're now doing them in the homes that are built in the early 2000s,
yeah,
which is very different, and we're finding some problems. So that's something that, and that expense is somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000. And it's something that every buyer is gonna wanna have repaired. So it's gonna be something good to know of what's coming up.
right, you're responsible to the curb, and then this public works will do it from the curb in the street, but guys, you just never know,
So
right?
it's from the clean out to the curb, and then from the clean out to the inside through the house. So you're responsible for both pieces, which is a lot. And there's a
And
lot.
roofs,
Mhm.
roofs, I mean, you used to say you have a 30-year roof, now houses that were built in 1990 are 30 years old.
Right. So as our homes age, we're seeing a lot of different changes in the industry, and these are things as a homeowner you don't think about. Your toilet's flush, everything seems to be working, nothing's backing up, you think it's fine. But underneath, there's some problems looming. I had another one today, which is kind of interesting. If you do have a septic, the septic is only 20 years old, they're supposed to last 40 or 50 years, and this one's deteriorating. So it completely needs to be replaced. So these early inspections could really help you with some of
Save you
that.
time,
and
save you
understand the
money, and certainly the stress.
And these things take time to do. So the work to be done is time consuming and vendors are busy. So these are just some different things that we're seeing on the resale side, but on a positive note too, interest rates.
Yeah, they've been hovering around 6.25, 6.5, and we're probably not gonna have a drop in rates from the feds for another 2 or 3 months. So get used to this. However, if you're buying through us, we can show you how a $10,000 discount used towards the interest rate can buy it down. And instead of saving $65 on a $10,000 discount, buy down the interest rate for the same amount and save 120. So almost twice as much. So Beth knows these little tricks, and we'd love to help you guys out. Give us a call, right?
And it's still a great time to buy. We're still buying. We think you guys should still buy. It will, if you want to refinance down the road, you can absolutely do that when the rates change. But there's great value out there.
You
The
bet.
home builders are offering great discounts. They're still offering low interest rates. They still have locks that they're willing, that aren't expiring for some time. And the resale market's gone down a bit. So it's actually a great time to buy the house you really wanted when it does dip down.
And speaking of that, let's do some pork with bourbon sauce.
All right, let's get cooking. We'll get back to it. All right, Chef, what should we check?
All right, so all I did was I just popped in there and behind the scenes, take a look at our sweet potatoes here. I had them sitting on our bottom. These guys, let's grab a fork real quick.
Well, they look delicious.
So these guys, look how tender,
Wow.
right? I'm gonna go ahead and do a little squeeze like such. So this now is at your preference. If you like them to be softer, you can be softer. Right now, they're fork tender, which means they are ready to go if you want. Since our pork chops have a little bit longer to go, I say let's put these back in for just another couple minutes, probably about 2 to 3.
Perfect.
Then that way they'll be where we want them. Go from there. Let's take a look at our glaze. Look at that.
Wow,
See how much
that looks great.
sticky it is, right? The
Mhm.
reason we want it like that is so when we go to plate, it really coats what we're looking for. So sticks to it just like that. Nice coat to the back of the spoon.
Absolutely.
That's pretty much exactly what we're looking for. So while we're doing that, garnish, right? We're always trying to find something to garnish. How do we garnish things? I take a look in the fridge. What do we got?
I like that.
I found some fresh rosemary, nice little sprig of
Mhm.
such, but some parsley, nice chopped parsley. So when we build plates, we're always thinking about three things. We're looking at shapes, we're
Yeah.
looking at colors, and we're looking at building height. Why? Is because shapes, color, and height build dimension. What
Mhm.
happens, what we do when we get a plate sat in front of us? We already start eating.
Exactly.
As soon as we take a look at it, we just start, oh, wow, right away. That's what we want to do. So as our preparation goes, we always want to think about how we are going to end up with our end product. Same thing,
Absolutely.
yep, same thing with how we cut the sweet potatoes, or how we want to, what do we want it to look like, right? Are we going to be serving it buffet style? Are we going to be plating it for our guests? What's going to happen? Is it going to be family style? Are we going to be setting it up on platters and everyone just passes around? So when we think about those things, how's it going to be the easiest for everyone to go ahead and serve themselves, right?
Absolutely.
For a little party like we have of 6 of us, plating, it's usually a good style to do.
It is.
If you don't want to do that, I don't blame you. Family style is an easy way to do it.
It
You
is.
just set them up on little platters, put the stuffs in little bowls. Nice little presentation. Everyone sits down, passes around the table, and you're good to go, right?
Absolutely.
So those are just the little keys of what we look for when we're trying to do it. What do we want to accomplish? Okay? And again, if you guys don't like any of these ingredients, the philosophy is if you don't like it, don't put it in there, right? It's not going to
Exactly.
change it too much. If you want to add more of one, by all means, add more of one. Cooking is your preference. Everyone has different tastes, so we want to make sure that it's your preference. If your guests don't like it, it just might be their taste, right?
Very
So
true.
that's really how it goes. I cook for 257 people every day, 3 times a day. We're not going to win it all the time, but as long as we can capture a majority, we're on the right page. And then it's always trial and error. Try something. Don't be afraid to try it.
Right.
Please ask any questions. Feel free to reach me on Chef J Evangeliste through Instagram or Facebook. Willing to answer any questions. I have lots of people out in the Rio Verde asking me all sorts of questions. Say, hey, what's about this, or what's doing with that? And then feel them free and point them in the right direction so that way they can be successful in their kitchen.
Absolutely. And for all those people that have friends over tonight, welcome. We love that you have little dinner parties with our event. It makes it a lot of fun, and it's a fun way to have a Thursday night.
That's right. It's a beautiful way to have a
It is a
Thursday
beautiful
night.
night.
Right? Let's go ahead and check out these yams.
See what we have here.
Take a look at our pork chops also. So these guys are looking nice, lots of color. Ooh,
Not quite.
almost.
Mm.
These two for sure. Put one of the scrabble, please.
I was thinking, maybe just take the thin one out.
Now there's 2 smaller ones, and the reason we do want those is we don't want our guests to have. So we'll go ahead and pull it out, the 2 that we got there, which will be okay. So this little guy is definitely thinner than the other ones. Now what we're gonna do is kind of maneuver this around slightly so that way there's a little more cooking room. So if we overcrowd the pan, then it doesn't allow them to cook evenly like we'd like. So now that we've opened it up, that cooking process happens so much faster. Right? So that's there, that's there, that's there. Glaze is ready. Everyone enjoyed your cocktail? How are we doing? Any questions so far?
Any photos? Anybody done? Love to see your pictures when you guys are done. And we're gonna get our plate out and we are gonna plate this up. This will be one of our fastest classes. In and
The
out.
tricks of the trade, right?
All right. Well, the yams personally, I feel are so easy as a great side dish for a lot of different things.
It's fantastic, right?
And it's so easy. Wow, I love the creativity of the plating.
Said. Little green. Little more, just slightly.
Wonderful. And we're gonna bring it out to the, over here. Got our-
And just like that, maple bourbon glazed pork chop with some Jamaican sweet potato steaks.
Wow. Now, did all of yours turn out like that, everybody? Coming up Thursday, March 21st, we are going to have, what is on the?
We're
board
gonna
there?
do a black and tan roasted chicken, so we're gonna do a roasted bone-in chicken with a black and tan sauce, so just like your black and tan beer, yes, that's right, we're gonna
Yes.
make a beer glaze. And we're gonna make a spicy ale slaw to go with that.
Oh, that sounds.
So
fantastic.
something non-traditional St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, I like that. Getting ready for March. And by the way, this weather's been amazing. So you guys go out, enjoy, have a great dinner, and we are gonna see you March 21st.
See you next month. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.